Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett revealed that Luke Skywalker is in possession of Yoda's lightsaber. That's awesome, but it's also confusing to some fans, and here's why. In the first issue of Charles Soule's excellent Darth Vader comic, we see that Mas Amedda throws a bunch of Jedi lightsabers into a furnace of some kind and then destroys them, symbolically ending the supposed tyrannical reign of the Jedi Order. Yoda's lightsaber is specifically shown to be one of the lightsabers destroyed. So how is it possible that Luke has it nearly 30 years later? And wait, it gets even more confusing, because in the book From a Certain Point of View, Yoda straight up says he no longer has his lightsaber on Dagobah after losing it in his duel with Darth Sidious. But then the canon reference book Complete Locations shows us a box in Yoda's hut on Dagobah that does contain his lightsaber. So what is going on? What's the deal with all these conflicting sources? What is right and true and good anymore? The fact of the matter is, this just happens sometimes. Star Wars is a living, breathing universe, stories are constantly being added to it, and they won't always line up perfectly. The way I see it, introducing new information in a new story doesn't have to mean the other story is contradicted or never happened. It usually just means something else happened off-screen to get us from point A to point B. Story should always come first. George Lucas never set out to make a perfect history of the Star Wars galaxy. He wanted to tell mythological adventures. Things were retconned all the time. The prequels came out and made a lot of fans go, wait, what? Because George did what he felt was best for his story, and he didn't really care if that meant Uncle Owen and C-3PO knew each other before A New Hope. We would figure that out later. No big deal. Or last year in The Bad Batch, Orn Free Taa was shot in the head. We were told that he survived the following episode, but for a week, some fans were upset that his assassination contradicted his appearance in the book Lords of the Sith. For that, I basically said, if all you watched was The Bad Batch, you can just go along assuming he's dead. But if you read the books, you can just assume he survived being shot. These stories can work on multiple levels depending on how much Star Wars content a given fan chooses to experience. This issue with Yoda's lightsaber is basically the same thing. Dave Filoni wanted to offer Grogu a choice between the way of the Jedi and the way of the Mandalore. Beskar armor on one side and a lightsaber on the other. Ooh, but wouldn't it be even more significant if it were Yoda's lightsaber? The answer is yes, especially when you consider the fact that most people watching the show have no idea what happened to Yoda's lightsaber in the comics. Don't get me wrong, tons of people read and love Star Wars comics, but we are not the majority of the fandom. Most of the fandom will remember that Yoda had a lightsaber in the prequels, and now they'll be excited to see it again used to great effect in the show. Anytime something like this comes up, I talk about a kind of funnel of Star Wars content. At the top are the movies, then the live-action series, then the animated series, then probably video games, and then books and comics, and then reference books. It's pretty safe to assume that anyone so invested in Star Wars that they're reading the books and comics has likely watched the live-action shows. But the opposite is not a safe assumption. Far more people watch the shows than read the comics. So when discrepancies pop up, I always go with what's higher up on the funnel. We saw that Luke has Yoda's lightsaber in the Book of Boba Fett. That is for sure true, and most fans will accept that without giving it a second thought. But if you're like me, you want to try to iron out the wrinkles. I know I just said Star Wars isn't meant to be a perfect galactic history, but I'm the kind of person that enjoys making it work. But I also know that since that's not a priority for the storytellers, it kind of falls on me to make it work in my own headcanon. And that is not a criticism of Lucasfilm or how they operate, by the way. I think flexibility in storytelling is the way to go. If I want the mythological universe of Star Wars to fit into this fictional historical box, which I personally enjoy doing, then I am happy to put in that extra effort. Nothing bugs me more than seeing people getting upset at storytellers for not honoring the lore or whatever when they could put in just a little bit of effort and creativity and find a solution that works. And to be clear, I'm not talking about anyone asking me to cover this topic, because everyone has done so very nicely, and they probably know that I enjoy doing stuff like this, but I cannot stand seeing people harassing storytellers over something so trivial. But anyway, the rest of this video is my attempt at making all four of these somewhat differing takes on Yoda's lightsaber fit into one story. Yoda duels Darth Sidious in the Senate chamber and loses his lightsaber. He leaves Coruscant without it, and it's destroyed by Mas Amedda shortly after. That takes care of the comic, and it takes care of From a Certain Point of View, where he mentions losing his treasured lightsaber in the Senate chamber. The key phrase there being his treasured lightsaber, because Yoda is 900 years old. I have to expect he would have built more than one lightsaber during his time as a Jedi. Anakin went through multiple lightsabers before he was even in his 20s, so maybe Yoda brought an old lightsaber with him to Dagobah, not his treasured one, but a relic, and maybe it was broken and he never bothered to fix it. I mean, that would be pretty thematically appropriate for his time in exile. Or maybe he built another lightsaber while he was on Dagobah after the story and From a Certain Point of View. The point is, we can find a reason for Yoda's lightsaber to be destroyed on Coruscant, and for there to be another one in a box in his hut on Dagobah. So now the question we have to ask is, how did Luke get it? I expect he just took it from the hut. Maybe Yoda told him to take it during his visit in Return of the Jedi, and that just happened off screen. If the lightsaber was broken, Luke fixed it. Again, that's got some good thematic resonance to it. And then he just held on to it for a few years before offering it to Grogu. There, that works well enough for me. Did I put in some extra effort to make it work? Yes. Is that a bad thing? No. Star Wars fans have been doing this for years, but that's all I've got to say about it today. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Book of Boba Fett coverage, and consider checking out our Patreon page for even more. We're releasing video reactions and audio commentaries for every episode as they come out. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.